I don't know why you say goodbye, say hello.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Matt, aka Thanatos, and today I am joined by two of my favorite guests. I'd like to welcome the boy who had seven, Matt, and his son Tim, to the first episode of Willpower. Oh my God, there's all kinds of notifications. Willpower Unleashed. This will be our first ever episode together. So very cool. Thank you for joining me, Matt and Tim.
What's going on? What's going on, everybody?
Hey, guys.
We had a couple people waiting in the chat already, including the boy who had seven. We've been in there. Bake the Snake, Poor Mike, Caleb Comic, Backseat Driver, D Comic Queen, Mr. Gretzky, the Slab Dragon's in town, Mr. Q Comics. Lots of great people. Lots of people hopefully sharing this Green Lantern spirit and love that we are going to be experiencing today. So super happy to have everybody. So yeah, I guess, oh my God, Chris Mitchell, is this a Batman chat? Get out.
Not today.
So Matt, tell me a little bit about why you wanted to do this.
Yeah, man. So sometime last year, I really started falling in love with Hal Jordan. I picked up the Rebirth Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps books and got to some of those Ethan Van Sciver issues and Tyler Kirkham covers, and man, it just started blowing me away. And I just started really falling in love with Hal's personality and the kind of guy that he is. And so I just was thinking, you know what, I need to find more stuff that I haven't read. And what I like to do is with my kiddos, we pick books that they haven't, discovered yet, and we discover them together. And so I was telling Tim, hey, buddy, let's get into Green Lantern together. And so Tim was like, dude, let's do it, Dad. Let's totally do it. So, of course, me thinking, okay, who do I know that loves Green Lantern? There's only one person that pops up in my mind, and that's you, bro. Whoop, whoop. Now, there's a whole bunch of people out there that love it, but I mean, you are the Green Lantern guy. So I thought, you know what? We got to get with Matt on this.
There's a lot of us, and like I know you already feel it, like that tingle, that knowing that soon enough Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps are going to be right up there with all of your favorite comic characters, if not your absolute favorites.
Yeah, what do you think?
I like him a lot. Like
he's climbing that ladder fast, bro. Like last year on Instagram, you probably saw it. There's one of those like top four, like post your top four.
Yeah.
And like it was the Trinity and Hal for me, man. And before, the Flash would have been in there or somebody else, but he climbed that ladder so quick. And now after reading Secret Origin, I'm just like, oh my gosh, this guy's going to take over my life.
my Trinity doesn't have any of those guys. My Trinity is all Green Lanterns.
I know. I saw it,
man. That's like the beauty of Green Lanterns, I think, is the fact that because there's more than one, you do get to choose, who has your favorite personality. You get to see the quirks in each one, the strengths in each one, the weaknesses. And from that, you kind of develop these relationships with which ones you relate to. I used to run, like, when I did PT tests and stuff, like, I would be like, what would Hal Jordan do? Like, don't keep running. Don't push yourself. Just stuff like that. I'm always WWHJD.
Oh, man, that's cool. I love it.
I love your shirts. Those are amazing. And I have been waiting so long to do this video. Like sometimes I feel like the YouTube thing can be kind of a grind.
Yeah.
And it seems like I haven't been this excited about a comic series or a video series in a really long time.
Yeah, dude.
Which isn't to say that all the other stuff is fun, but like, this is my bread and butter. Like this is what got me into comics. So I guess for me, when you asked, or when we first started discussing the idea of doing a comic book series based off of Jeff Johns' run, you knew I jumped on it. And I think it was when you posted a picture of, or or you sent me a picture of your whole stack that you'd gotten.
Yeah.
And like that very day, I was ordering Omnis on eBay because I'm like, this is going to happen. We are going to do this. That stack.
Yep.
And I know there are a bunch of people in the community who are big Green Lantern fans, and there are a lot of people who have, not been exposed to it. In a similar way that I think if someone did something similar to this for other characters, I think that'd be great. Like if someone did a Spider-Man one or X-Men, it would definitely help me get more involved and do it. So I figure this is a great way. Hopefully this series inspires other people to highlight their own favorite characters and do these little book clubs. So that way we can all kind of see what draws us to each other's favorite comic book characters.
Yeah. I was thinking as I was reading, I'm like, there's a couple guys that reached out to me and said this is the first time they're going to read like Tim and I.
Yeah.
And so Timmy and I, when we were reading it, man, we just kept like looking at each other like, are you kidding me right now? Did you just read that? And I'm thinking about all these other people in the community that are experiencing it for the first time themselves, at the same time we are. And it's just like, this is so cool because we're going to get together tonight and we're going to geek out about it, man.
Oh, man. My body is ready. Tim, how did you, I don't want you to give you too much away, but like overall impressions so far, like, did you walk away feeling good about it?
Yeah, I did. I really love this comic.
And why? What inspired you to do it, other than you talking to your dad about it?
Well, I kind of just like wanted to get into more comic books that I don't really know much about it. Like before I started reading Ghost Rider, because that's what got me into comics.
Yeah.
I actually hated comics. Like I thought they were the worst things on earth.
We would battle, and I'd be like, dude, read this comic. He's like, nah, Dad, that's dumb. Like, I don't want to get into that. And I was so disappointed because, with my 7 kids, they've all got different personalities. I'm like, he's going to be the one that's going to love them.
Yeah.
And he was like, no. So my daughter started reading everything with me, and she's in love with him. But then I showed him Ghost Rider. What happened?
I loved it so much.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, hopefully you find some characters in the Green Lantern community, like in the world of Green Lantern, because the great thing about like not just the Earth Green Lanterns that you can choose from, like you guys know my favorite character, Sinestro. Yep. The villains in Green Lantern are top notch. I know in Secret Origins you kind of get an intro to Atrocitus and kind of his backstory, but Atrocitus, he ends up having his own comic book in the New 52, the Red Lantern Corps. You'll get introduced to Larfleeze, the Orange Lantern, who also gets his own run in New 52. And I think one of the most beautiful things about Green Lantern is it seems like when they do reboots, it never affects the story for Green Lantern. This story that we started with Secret Origin, from Rebirth with Jeff Johns' run all the way through, all the way until Grant Morrison's new Green Lantern. Like, that's how long this run is. Over a decade.
Man, that's awesome.
I mean, obviously, like after Green Lantern 20 in the New 52, it stops being Jeff Johns. I think is it Adam Humphries writes a bit of it. I think Robert Venditti does the ending of Green Lantern New 52, but the story overall stays continuous. The continuity is there, and I'm going to tell you. Did you guys read Green Lanterns from Rebirth at all?
We didn't. Mm-mm.
So the story with Simon Baz and Jessica Cruz, has things in it that relate to the story that we're going to read.
Oh man, now I'm going to go have to spend more money.
It took me a second to realize like who it was that we were talking, because the name sounded really familiar. But we'll get into that because that's in book 2. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. We got a bunch of more people in the house. I can't see how many people we have in the chat.
We got 26 right now. What's up, everybody?
That's a good number of Green Lantern poozers.
Yeah.
We got Discovery Bay, Bake the Snake. Well, I already said Bake the Snake earlier. Gorilla Grodd, Ed D, Kachum's here. Jilly Jill, welcome. John's Comics with Kids. Metarog.
D Comic Queen.
Yup, Mastodon Comics and Collecting. Kingpen's here. Midwest Comic Man. Ooh, I don't have any whiskey, but Maybe I'll let you guys talk for a second while I go get a glass.
Awesome, man. You know what? There's a bunch of veterans though too. Like
Always.
we got John's Comments with Kids, Fire Guy Ryan. There's a couple of these guys that said they're so excited because they're jumping into it again. And it's been a while since they've read it.
And I cannot wait. Obviously, like we will be the primary guys in this whole video series, but getting other people like D Comic Queen, Fire Guy Ryan, Alex the Comic Hoarder, Great Legend, all these other big Green Lantern guys. John's Comics with Kids wants to be in No Fear. It's going to be awesome. So I'm really excited about getting the whole community involved in this.
Nice.
But I guess we should just get into it, huh?
Let's do it, dude.
So
yeah. Backseat driver just hit me up on Instagram and he's like, dude, I got a whole bunch of the stuff I could let you borrow, man. Thank you, dude. I'm going to take you up on that for sure.
Lots of stuff. What's up, 90 MF Comics? So the reason we went with Secret Origin over Rebirth is because Rebirth really just deep dives you into the lore. It starts out with Hal Jordan, like literally it's his rebirth. It's him coming back from this long stint as a villain. And it kind of doesn't really give you much of a backstory on Hal Jordan. It does some small flashbacks and whatnot, but it's a much more complicated story that when you read Rebirth, you're going to be like, I have so many questions.
Really?
So Fire Guy Ryan made a great recommendation on starting with Secret Origin because it does give you just that, the origin. And I think that was a great place to start for people that know nothing about Hal Jordan or the Green Lantern Corps. Gives you an idea of their strengths, their weaknesses, just, the storytelling of Hal Jordan growing up and tragedy.
Tim and my our experience with the Green Lantern was pretty much the DC animated films and the Parallax story, and then I didn't know what happened to Hal after that until I picked up, the Rebirth stuff. And I'm like, okay, I guess he's back, and I even picked that up like issue 20.
Yeah.
So there's a whole bunch we're missing, man. And this Secret Origin filled a lot of it in.
Yeah. I'm guessing you watched First Flight.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Why wasn't that the Green Lantern movie?
Yeah, man. It would have been so good. So much better than this other one we got, man.
It would have been amazing. So in book one, we're going to go do like an overview of each because it is a 7-part series. So we can kind of talk about each book as they happened. And if anyone has questions, we will do a fan Q&A or like a Q&A later in the show. But if you have questions, throw them in there. If Matt or I or Tim see it, we'll definitely address it, hopefully throughout the show. So book one is, there's very little Green Lantern about it. You see a pure origin story. Hal Jordan going and visiting, watching his dad, who was a test pilot, fly for Ferris Air, and the tragedy of him passing away.
Yeah.
And you get to really see. It's not relatable. Not everyone's going to have that tragic accident. Yeah. But you can see how his mom reacted. His mom did not want Hal Jordan to be a Green Lantern, or did not want him to be a fighter pilot, right? You will not be a superhero. After the accident, his only dream was to be a fighter pilot. And after this, understandably, his mom did not want him to have anything to do with planes. And that can honestly be translated to any number of career fields in the military or police or firefighting. When something tragic like that happens, typically a parent would do the same thing. They would fear for their children to follow in the footsteps of something so tragic. Yeah. But he was determined.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that boy Hal Jordan was determined. This comes to my first panel that I thought was kind of goofy. So Hal Jordan in book 1 goes and joins the Air Force on his 18th birthday.
Yeah, man.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeff Johns, he must not know much about the military.
Enlighten us, Matt. Enlighten us.
This uniform,
I'm
going to put it on me real quick, is terrible. Like, you see the 2 stripes on his chest? That would be like an airman basic almost, or airman first class ish. And then the one on his arm would make him probably a staff sergeant, but the guy looks super old, and it makes no sense. Like no one puts their rank on their chest like that. So that threw me off a little bit, but for the most part, I mean, when you join the Air Force at 18, typically you're enlisting. You're not becoming a pilot. So there is something in the middle of that, where between him joining at 18 and him being a fighter pilot, there's a big chunk there that you don't get to see.
Yeah.
But what else happens in book 1?
I was kind of taken. I was sucked into the story because within 4 pages you have a tragedy, right? And within those 4 pages, you can tell how much Hal loves his dad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, his dad's his hero.
Yeah.
His dad means everything to him, man. I mean, 4 pages. I guess that's masterful to me, And then when his dad passes like that, I wasn't expecting that to happen so quickly. And I think, if we were to break down the psychology of Hal, that plays everything into it. The way that he is and the way that he moves forward, kind of, I'm not sure if he's running away from fear or if he's just trying to prove to the world that he's not scared of anything. But I think that's something that we're going to have to talk about throughout this story.
Yeah, and you can kind of see it. It's funny because you see his brothers, right? So Jack kind of takes the role of almost the father figure.
Yeah.
Or like the much more stern, like, we got to grow up now because, we don't have a dad.
Yeah.
And then you see little Jim, who is much more sensitive. And then you have Hal Jordan kind of in the middle there.
Yeah.
And I like seeing their dynamic. And Jack is much more like on a protect mom. And he is the one who points out how selfish Hal Jordan's actions are, because he knows how, like, by Hal Jordan joining the Air Force,
yeah,
Jack knows how devastating that's going to be for
his mom.
Yeah. And you're kind of like, I mean, as much as I love Hal Jordan, like, his actions when he was younger were very, very selfish.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was not a family first kind of guy.
Yeah. Tim and I questioned, we're like, I personally didn't even know he had brothers.
Yeah.
So we're like, holy cow, like, this whole time, we have this story of this guy and his great story, and yet his brothers have nothing to do with it. And that's heartbreaking, man. Because I mean, I have 4 sons,
Yeah.
If they were to, because of a tragedy in our home, fall apart like that, and one of them were to just leave everyone behind and run away, it's devastating, man. It's selfish. Yeah. But at the same time, he's dealing with his pain in his own way.
Yes.
And
I think Jack is always kind of cold towards Hal Jordan. But Jim, throughout the whole story, even he's in there fairly often as a support character for Hal Jordan. He has a family and stuff, and all that. So, and they've been in the story for quite some time. Jack and Jim both made their first appearance in Green Lantern #9.
Nice.
So that was like in 1961.
Okay, so it's been a while.
Yeah, they've been around.
I love that when I didn't see it at first, but when you look at this whole story, it's a journal to his little brother. Yeah, that's what Secret Origin is. He's like, here's my secret origin, little brother. Don't tell anyone, but this is for you because I recognize my mistake, and you need to be part of my life. because this is what I've learned through everything. I love that.
Yeah, at the end of the comic, it shows him giving it to his brother.
Yep.
The journal.
Yep.
And when Jim had that gift for Hal,
oh my gosh,
that was rough, man.
Yeah. I shed a few tears on that one, bro.
But I do like how that, like, they show that at the beginning of book, or before Hal Jordan joins the Air Force on his 18th birthday, they show Jim trying to find him, and Jim's super young at that time.
He loves him so much he's waiting up till midnight, right when his brother turns 18, so he can go into the room and tell him I love you, and he's gone, dude. Oh my god, that's crazy.
Yeah. John's comment said, my only question, and might relate more to the future trades, is how much of the various colored rings came from John's and how much of it was built on what was already part of the Green Lantern lore?
That's a good question.
The majority of it is Jeff Johns. The emotional spectrum was not part of the lore until Jeff Johns changed it. And we're going to talk about that with Abin Sur and in book 2. We can honestly, we have a few more points to talk about in book 1, but Star Sapphire was the only other ring wielder from before that. Oh, and Sinestro, but Sinestro. So there was Sinestro Corps, or Sinestro, not the Corps. There was no Yellow Lantern Corps.
Good one.
and then the Star Sapphire, but everyone else and the idea of an emotional spectrum did not come to fruition until Jeff Johns. Some other cool points though before we get to that. In book 1, I loved the bar scene. Someone just mentioned it, the bar scene where Hal Jordan fights John Stewart.
Wait, oh my gosh, time out. That went over my head 100%, bro.
Go look at it.
No stinking way.
That's John Stewart as a Marine.
Are you kidding me right now? Dude, this is right over my head, bro.
I just thought he was like another person that wasn't important.
Nope.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. There's so many little tidbits in here that are so awesome. I just got goosebumps thinking about that. Like,
oh my god,
and John Stewart meet is when they're both in the service and they get in a bar fight.
This is why I did this, bro, because I would have kept going and never have known that. This is why we're doing this tonight, bro, because you just pointed that out.
Yeah.
Holy crud.
And this whole Secret Origin gives you a great view of the different characters you're going to see throughout the whole story. I mean, we talked earlier, and you see Atrocitus, you see Hector Hammond, Sinestro, Tomari, Kilowog. You see all the little Green Lanterns that are going to play vital roles later. The Guardians, Carol Ferris. There's General Stone plays a part in Hal Jordan's life. There's so much that are introduced in the Secret Origins and give you if you already know about Hal Jordan, it refreshes you. If you don't know anything about Hal Jordan, it gives you this whole foundation to build off of.
Yeah, man. Hey, watch it with that 9/9.
Yeah, I don't want to knock that down. Another, obviously, a huge emotional part in this whole story in book 1 is Hal finding out that his mom has cancer.
Oh, killer, man.
That's right after the bar fight also.
Yeah.
And the fact that his brother's like, you can't come home. You can't talk to her. And then by the time he works out in his brain, well, I can't quit. So I'm going to deck my commanding officer in the face. So they kick me out.
Punched him right in the face.
Yeah, man.
Which is a part of, I think, a big part of Hal Jordan's ego. Like, he could have told them the situation. Like, he could have talked to somebody, but instead his ego won't let him quit.
Or ask for help.
He's not a quitter, ever. If Hal Jordan is anything, it is not a quitter. So he punches General Stone in the face.
That's nuts, man. That's nuts.
Which is another part to me that I think is, oh, I have that right here, by the way. Boom. Hal Jordan getting discharged, that was like the next day.
That's not going to happen in real life, or what?
Oh, no way. And then to get dishonorably discharged, I don't know if punching a commanding officer would actually get you a dishonorable discharge. It might get you a other than honorable.
Yeah.
But for the most part, that would be like you'd get in a lot of trouble and you'd probably get kicked out, but it would take a little bit, and it wouldn't be a next day thing, and you probably wouldn't get the dishonorable. That's like you get a dishonorable if you were a leader of a drug ring or you murdered somebody.
Okay.
It's actually a lot more difficult than people think to get dishonorably discharged.
Yeah. Hey, Comics Misexplained says Hal always pushes against authority. Same with the Guardians. That's totally.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we will definitely be getting to his problems with authority.
I love it though. I love it.
From heroes to icons, a lot of crying in this book. I was all over the place emotional. It is in one issue, Hal Jordan loses both of his parents.
Yep.
And like in not a good way, like losing. Everybody's kind of has their support characters that, like Aunt May, she's there after Uncle dies. Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
I almost said Uncle Owen. Who's that? That's from Star Wars.
Uncle Owen.
But Hal Jordan loses all of it, and he
his
family is super like, nope, don't come home.
Yeah, man. That's when his little brother tells him like you're too late.
Yeah.
And he never gets to have closure, say goodbye to his mom. Like
rough.
Heroes to Icons, I read it 4 times and I cried multiple times, all 4 times. Like this book got me in the heart, man. D Comic Queen says, not a Spider-Man fan, I see.
Not even a little bit.
That's gonna kill Tim because that's his boy.
Yeah, he's working it.
Yeah, everybody, Reggie, everybody's a big Spider-Man fan, and I'm just like, he's just a kid from New York who got like, I don't like spiders. Maybe that's why.
There it is. Oh man, this guy always wishes that he was Spider-Man, bro. But I know that Green Lantern ring's looking pretty good, right? Yeah.
I could just become Spider-Man with the ring.
There you go. There you go.
Spider Lantern. So in book 2, so at the very end of book 1 is when you finally get to see a Green Lantern. Abin Sur shows up in a spacecraft with Atrocitus behind him.
Yeah.
And what's very unique about that is the fact that is a drastic difference between his origin story in Showcase 22 than what it is in Secret Origin. Back in Showcase 22, there was no Atrocitus. Atrocitus was not a thing. He did not exist.
Yeah.
That is something that Jeff Johns changed, revised in his origin story. In Showcase 22, you see Abin Sur was in a spacecraft and he crash landed. And it was more like destiny or fate that brought him there. Yeah. Whereas now there's this whole backstory where Abin Sur is going to Earth because the Blackest Night prophecy that Atrocitus has been talking about says that someone on Earth is going to be the bringer of the Blackest Night.
Yeah.
And he's obviously talking about William Hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. He's weird.
Yeah, who's a super nut job. So this whole Blackest Night thing is already in the works. They're already talking about it and discussing it. And because of the 5 inversions and Atrocitus really getting into Abin Sur's head is what leads to his downfall. He believes it, and it terrifies him. Like it definitely causes him fear, which, as you can see, is the reason why Abin Sur, his constructs were weak, which enabled Atrocitus to break out and cause him that fatal injury. I mean, even his like innately Green Lanterns have almost like a protective force field around them from their willpower, and that was not enough to stop Atrocitus from mauling him.
Yep. Yeah. I found it interesting how Jeff Johns went back to Abin Sur being in a plane or a spaceship.
Yeah.
But yet he made it because he was already fearful that his ring was going to fail him.
Yep.
And so he flew in that because he was thinking, okay, if I'm flying out in space and my ring fails me out there, it's over. But I need this ship to get there. And you already see that there's that seed of doubt.
Yeah.
Just from him using that.
You can see it. If you notice in the first issue, anytime they show Abin Sur where he's got his eyes, he has the Green Lantern symbol in them. And then you see it change right there where the fear gets the best of him.
Dang. So that's the yellow.
That's the yellow lantern symbol.
Oh my gosh, man.
So like they're hinting at all of this is coming together slowly.
Yeah.
And Atrocitus just gets into his, like, it's just a pure mind game. And Atrocitus, it works.
Yeah. Because he pretty much plants the seed. Because if Abin Sur never goes there with Atrocitus, this never happens.
Yep. So by listening to the 5 inversions, he is
fulfilling the prophecy.
Fulfilling the prophecy. I really need to figure out how to turn off these notifications.
He did. And that was an important part, man.
The Great Legend has been sharing our video with his subscribers. So if you are here, thank you very much, Great Legend. I appreciate it. Yeah. Decom Queen, when he says you feel fear, like, ooh.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, it's this whole thing was pretty intense. So book 2 leads to the crash of Abin Sur and Hal Jordan trying to find work after being discharged and all this stuff. And I think that's when the rings find him.
Yeah. Tim loved the panel where Abin Sur is giving Hal the ring.
Yeah.
So you guys can see that right there. That's a gorgeous panel. And he's got that metal sticking right through his body, you know?
Yeah. His protective layer was not good.
Enough.
And in book 2, you have, this is the first time we see Carol Ferris as an adult, looking all hot and sexy in her very star sapphire looking dress.
Yeah.
Blouse. And then you were also introduced to a character that you asked me about, which was Thomas Kamolsky.
Yeah. Yeah. Does he play a role later on?
Not so much in this series.
Uh-huh.
But if you remember the Green Lantern movie, that was Waititi, right? Tafiki Waititi or whatever his name is, the guy from Thor. He plays the rock guy.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
The director of Thor Ragnarok.
Yep.
That's who plays him in the movie. But
Tim's never seen. Have you seen?
I've seen it before. The one scene I remember is when he used the Hot Wheels to save the people.
Oh yeah, like yeah.
And I had a little more written down about Thomas Kamolsky. Kamuki.
He's Korean?
No, he's an Inuit.
Really?
Yes. Thomas Kamalku. So yeah, his actual first appearance, I have it. I forgot to grab it, but Green Lantern #2 is his first appearance.
Okay.
It's actually it shows it on the slab, but they call him Pie Face, which is
racist.
A little jacked up. So yeah, the term Pie Face, which a lot of people were like, that's not like okay, but it's supposed to mean a round flat face resembling a pie and typically expressionless.
Yeah.
So, which is still kind of jacked up because Thomas is super smart and he's very capable.
Yeah, when you put that plane back together for Hal, holy cow, man.
And in the Silver Age, during that time when Hector Hammond shows up, Hal Jordan actually like makes him his own ring, like gives him a temporary ring and he uses it and they fight Hector Hammond together.
No way.
Yeah. So he has kind of a bigger role in the Silver Age, not so much
the Jeff Johns run.
Jeff Johns run.
Okay.
But he is considered Hal Jordan's best friend.
Yeah, see, because when I'm reading this, I'm thinking, okay, this guy's got to be close to him. He figured out he was the Green Lantern before anybody else did. He put the plane together for him. He was actually holding the battery. I mean, I just felt like he had a bigger role to play.
And another kind of fun tidbit, if you guys weren't aware, so I talked about a character that shows up in Green Lanterns with Simon Baz and Jessica Cruz.
Yeah.
Frank Leminski. I don't know if you.
Yep.
Frank Leminski is the fighter pilot who is
the pilot. Yeah.
Hal Jordan saves.
Yep. That was one of my favorite panels, man. I thought that was
it's beautiful.
Gorgeous. And I love the way that the lantern sign's sticking out of his chest.
Yeah.
It's too good.
So Frank Leminski, after this, wants to become a Green Lantern. Like and you don't even know it, like he was a throwaway character back in 2005. Like this all happened. He was not supposed to be anything. He was a side character. He was
just a jerk.
Just a jerk pilot. Green Lanterns now, and it was 2018 when they wrote this, he dedicated his entire life after this to proving that he is worthy of a Green Lantern ring.
Oh my gosh, man.
And it never happens. And he ends up becoming the Phantom Lantern.
Are you serious?
He's the one who gets the Phantom ring, which is able to use every single emotion whenever he wants and it's just like, holy crap, that's Frank Leminski from 2005. Like, that's what?
Okay, I didn't even. Okay, yeah, I got so much I want to read now.
Yeah,
it makes me so excited.
So, and all of Frank Leminski's backstory that they talk about in 2018 was because of this one panel, this one piece where Hal Jordan saves him back in Green Lantern, 29, 30.
That's so great, man.
It's super awesome.
So that's found in the Rebirth Green Lantern Corps or Green Lanterns.
Yep, just DC, when DC did their Rebirth, they did for Green Lanterns is when he became a good villain. Like he's obviously kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And his intentions weren't bad, but he did end up becoming a villain-ish.
Okay.
And then you guys had a question about the circles.
Yeah. Oh, white circles.
Yeah.
So the white circles, the same way that so Hal Jordan hasn't gone to OA yet. He hasn't completed boot camp.
Yeah.
So when a Green Lantern is first chosen, they are not necessarily.
I get it now.
Yeah, they're not necessarily a Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Is that on his chest since it's just a white circle?
Just a white circle.
Oh, there it is.
It's because I just told him right now. It's like he doesn't even have the lantern in it.
Nope. So when you first get a ring, you are considered a recruit. You have to. So in order to become a full-fledged Green Lantern, at this point, the Guardians could still take away his ring. They could still say you're not worthy. He could fail out of that Green Lantern boot camp, and the ring would go find another suitable subject. Chris Mitchell is correct. It's like a trainee badge. Until you complete like Kilowog's rigorous Poozer training, you have to earn your symbol. Which is similar to like in the Air Force, earning your wings, or earning your jump school, your airborne patch. So you have to go through a number of stuff before you can become a full-fledged Green Lantern.
Dude, love it. I love how Tim was pointing it out. He's like, oh, look, he doesn't have this. It's just like a white circle. Then you're like, talking about the white circles.
Yep.
What's up, Mike? Tim and I say hi, brother.
Bonafide Comics, hello. Lots of people. Faith in God Carter made me lose faith in you. I don't know. There must be some kind of side conversation going on in the chat. At the very last panel of book 2 is when you finally get to see Hector Hammond, who kind of a douche.
Yeah.
And then we go into book 3. I hope we're going at a decent pace. Sorry, we're already like 40 minutes deep. And we're only on book 3 out of 6.
7.
7.
Yeah.
So I'll try to go a little faster.
Cool.
So in book 3, Abin Sur is buried. I love the symbolism of this. You've seen Hal Jordan be selfish his entire adolescence, all the way through flight school and stuff, always selfish. And then you see him burying an alien.
Yeah.
Whether that's out of respect, knowing that, because that's when Abin Sur talks to him about the Green Lantern Corps and how they're an interstellar police force. And so he recognizes, a fellow armed service type.
Yeah.
And decides, he deserves a burial, which is really cool in my mind.
I love it, man.
Oh, one of the things I was wondering is, does like the ring like have its own spirit? So is that why it can talk, or is it just like a robot or something?
So each ring is technically imbued with the entire knowledge of the Book of Oa. Mm-hmm. So they're not. It seems weird because Jessica Cruz's ring seems like it's sentient, but like it's some people will say that it is, and some people say it's not. I like to think of it more as like a Jarvis, where it's not sentient, but it has like its own AI almost, where you ask it questions. It's like you wouldn't say that Siri or Alexa are. Probably shouldn't say that word. Are a living thing, but they are there to provide information. It's much more of an AI, like a very, very top-notch AI.
Okay.
But then when you get to Jessica Cruz, it almost seems like it has its own personality. So yeah.
Cool. Good question, dude.
A very good question, Tim. So in book 3, you see this little interaction between Hal Jordan and Carol Ferris. And then he buries Abin Sur, and we finally get to see him blast off to Oa.
Yep.
And I know when it says "Have a nice flight." Is that like how it almost feels like it has a little personality to it?
Yeah. Have a nice flight.
Yeah. And he's gone. I thought that was really cool. And then on this panel. Oh, man, I love this one.
Yeah, we're looking at it right now, too.
And you see all these Green Lanterns.
White circles.
There's a bunch that I recognize and a bunch that you will see throughout.
The only one I recognize is Tamare, because he turned into a manhunter.
Which one's
No,
that?
It wasn't a manhunter. What was it? In the Rebirth.
No, you're not thinking about Tomari. You're thinking about Tomari's son.
Oh, is that okay?
Or nephew in Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern Corps.
It's his son. Yeah,
he becomes a. I don't remember what they're called, but I know what you mean.
That was a good story.
This guy is a pretty popular guy. He always makes me think of like a werewolf. And then this guy. I keep forgetting their names, but
he's a minion?
From Heroes to Icons, he becomes a Dark Star. That's what he's talking about. No, this guy.
Yeah, there it is.
He's like a piece of broccoli.
Dude, that's crazy, dude.
Yeah. He's like a tree.
Like a squid right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
And then you see Gnort. No, it's not Gnort. I'm super blanking on these names, but the little squirrel Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's familiar.
So you get introduced to his recruiting team, and then you finally meet Kilowog.
Yes. Where's his first appearance, man?
It is right here.
Oh, wow. Nice.
The Green Lantern Corps, number 201, is the first appearance of Kilowog.
Awesome, dude. I love that you have that, bro. I mean, I knew you would, but it's awesome.
And if you were looking, this comic also has a 95-cent variant, which is pretty rare. So this is the 75-cent. I think I have the 95-cent somewhere. But look at this art. Look at that guy.
Looks like a cartoon character.
Little suspenders on this squirrel.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so Kilowog is I don't know. It seems like a lot of times he's portrayed as just the trainer, the Chip. There you go.
Yeah.
This is why we need D Comic Queen in here. Chip. Kilowog has kind of always been considered the trainer, the boot camp director type.
Yeah.
But he has so much more of a important role throughout the whole Jeff Johns run, throughout most of the story. I mean, people, because he is the last of his kind, a lot of people kind of group him with the Earth Green Lanterns, which doesn't really happen much. Like even here, where it's literally, this is the Green Lantern Rebirth #6 cover.
Yeah.
I mean, you have all the Earth Green Lanterns and you have Kilowog.
Yeah.
Like that shows just how important he is to the core. And I would say that he is also arguably one of Hal Jordan's best friends.
You know what? I was going to say, sorry, bud, what did you say?
No, I was just probably.
Yeah. As I was reading this story with Kilowog, he's like this big, loud boot camp guy, but he's also very respectful and he can recognize how special Hal is, you know?
Yeah.
He's not too prideful to where he can't say it. So he's still got to have that like boot camp attitude, but he still recognizes Hal as that he's going to become something great.
Mm-hmm. Chris Mitchell says that Kilowog is the soul of the core in his opinion, and I would absolutely agree. Kilowog is a great representation of the Green Lantern Corps. He is the embodiment of them.
Nice.
And this is where you get to see. I love these two scenes, two panels where it's Kilowog introducing himself, and then Hal Jordan.
Him right in the face.
An Earth boxing glove right in the face.
When Chip says, "You really shouldn't have done that," and Hal's like, "Why not?" And Kilowog gets back up and says, "Because I've been looking all day for somebody to make an example out of." You're like, "Oh no!"
But I love Hal's reaction. Why not?
Yeah.
You know, like why not? I have no idea what's going on. I got to take care of myself. You know.
Yeah. Find the biggest guy in the yard and hit him.
That's right.
And throughout this, we have Atrocitus back on Earth.
Yeah.
And then Kilowog teaching him some lessons, which includes finally getting a glimpse at the yellow impurity.
Okay, that's big time for us. We didn't know that there was this yellow impurity, man.
Yes.
So we always knew Sinestro
was yellow,
and
we didn't know it was like a problem.
Yeah. So where does this come from, man? Is this new to Jeff Johns' story? Is it from back in the days?
So the yellow impurity, I think back in the day was more just how the Green Lanterns need something to
have a weakness for.
And so yellow was kind of it, which is really stupid because I mean there's issues where Batman, beats the crap out of Hal Jordan in a yellow Batman suit. It's
oh my god, he's so smart.
You hated that, but I loved it, dude.
It's a freaking color, man. It's so stupid. And you will learn. This is one of those questions that I can talk about a little bit. They will flesh out the reason why yellow impurity exists. But I guess for now, the color of fear is yellow, right?
Okay.
So fear, as you saw with Abin Sur, caused his willpower to weaken. It made him hesitate.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of the opposite of willpower.
Absolutely. And I'm actually, when we talk about the emotional spectrum, we could talk about like how they all kind of have their their pros and cons.
Yeah.
But because it is the yellow color of fear and how the Green Lanterns are supposed to be fearless, it seems kind of stupid that it is a problem, because if they don't fear anything, how is it a weakness?
Yeah.
But that's all stuff that we'll get to figure out as we continue reading, and you finally discover the true nature of the impurity.
Yeah. Which for Tim asked me this question and I didn't even notice, but he's like, "Dad, why are all the buildings yellow?" before Hal even asked the question in book 7, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I don't trust the Guardians. And I was like, we're going to have to find out, you know?
And you'll actually, I think we'll learn about it as soon as we read Rebirth. And I think that, it all really depends on how much you guys want spoiled for you. I'm trying to like avoid spoilers.
It's cool. Keep it pure, man. Keep it pure.
But, the yellow impurity with the Green Lanterns over a long period of time has, I think at this point, the Guardians are afraid, and that's something that Hal Jordan points out later in Secret Origins.
Yeah,
and they have been influenced by the yellow impurity, and they are afraid. And so, like, when every time you see the Oa in the future, everything is green. There's a lot of green, but in this specific portion of it, it's yellow, and you're like,
where
but
they
why?
reside.
Yeah. And it's definitely evident that the Guardians of the Universe are no longer in control of their emotions, even though they're supposed to be emotionless. It's kind of foreshadowing the fear that is overtaking them.
Oh man, I can't wait.
But I love Hal Jordan getting hit in the face. He's like, "Don't worry, I got this. I'll just catch this yellow disc," and he gets railed.
And it looks painful too, dude.
But no one can answer Hal Jordan's question on why.
Yep.
Why is there a yellow? Like, why are they weak against yellow? And everybody's like, don't ask that question.
Yeah.
You don't need to know that.
See, that's that plays to Hal's personality, because he's never just going to take anything just because someone said.
Yeah.
He's got to know for himself. But it also shows like what kind of trust the Guardians, you know, or the Lanterns have in the Guardians.
Yep.
They just blindly accept it, you know, except for Sinestro. Because he's been asking the same question forever, right?
Right. And it's all going to come to fruition. Like, why Sinestro is kind of walking away eventually. You know, he's going to betray the Corps at some point, you know, but why? And because he didn't trust the Guardians. He didn't think that they were properly policing the universe, and Sinestro had other plans and other means. So
I got a question out of left field for you, man.
Yes.
Would you take a Green Lantern ring, or would you take a wand? Boom.
Oh man. I'd take the Green Lantern ring.
Yeah.
All day.
Yeah.
I would love to be a wizard.
Yeah.
But the idea that you have the most powerful weapon in the universe and you can literally will anything. Oh man.
Yeah.
But that is definitely tough.
That's cool, man.
Because you could do quite a bit with a wand.
Yeah, you could. You got good enough, you could turn a wand into the same thing a Green Lantern ring does. If you're good enough.
Turn the Elder Wand into a ring.
That's right.
What about you guys? What would you pick?
I'd pick the ring.
My man.
Any day.
Man. That's hard for me, man. I'll get back to you on that one.
So, okay. In this book, are we on book 2 or book 3? No, we're on book 3.
Yeah, book 3.
So we talked about the yellow impurity, and then we get to see the book of Oa, which is also surrounded by all that yellow. But we learn that the book of Oa holds all the knowledge in the universe. And then Hal Jordan finishes his training, and then this happens. The first time you see him recite the oath.
I had goosebumps all over my body, tears in my eyes, bro. Like, so good.
Every time, like, there's so many good panels of him reciting the oath, and you'll get to see all of them. And then we get to see Sinestro for the first time.
Yeah.
And I love, like, his hand, his chest, the side of his face, and then off to Earth. Like,
Yeah, man.
So cool.
Yeah.
And then we go into book 4. So book 4 kind of brings us back to Earth. It doesn't kind of. It mostly does.
Kachung is saying he got confused with the transition between Hal and Sinestro. Is that what you're talking about, Kachung? Because at first I thought that was Hal's fist.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and then I'm like, wait, that's a little thinner. And then there's Sinestro. So I feel that too. But I love it.
And it's also on his left hand.
Yep. Oh, good observation, Tim.
Dude, that's why I like this kid.
Oh, man. Sinestro wears his ring on his left hand.
I didn't even notice that till right now, dude. This is why you're here with me, bro.
That was. I was actually just about to point that out. That's how you kind of know that that's Sinestro. But Tim had it, man. That's awesome.
Nice, dude.
So Hector Hammond.
That guy is.
He's a nut job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in book 4 is when you see the very first few pages is him. It's an origin story for Hector Hammond, and the difference. I don't know if this would be a question that you had. I think you messaged me earlier about it. Was this is not the way that Hector Hammond got his powers in the Silver Age.
Yeah, because I know about this character.
Yep.
I just that was a big question. Is this his origin story? So tell me about it, man.
It's very different. It was definitely revised. So in this story, he is playing with things he doesn't understand, right? So he's trying to like play with those thrusters, and he's talking trash to those scientists.
Yeah.
And then that meteorite fragment from Abensur's ship and the thrusters causes him to. It explodes and gives him his powers. He gets that big brain, the big old brain.
Yeah.
And stupid, powerful telepathic abilities.
Yeah, man.
Whereas in Silver Age, Hector Hammond was a criminal, just your typical criminal. And he discovered some meteor fragments that he ended up doing experiments on. He kidnapped some scientists and was doing experiments on them. Mm-hmm. And then they made these scientists like crazy smart, and over time these scientists made all these new inventions and all this, and they made Hector Hammond rich, and it was much more of a Lex Luthor type.
Okay.
Where he at first he didn't have the telepathic abilities.
I'm not sure about that.
Apparently she doesn't like talking about Hector Hammond.
Yep.
So for a while,
it's explained. NBA jab.
Dude, yeah. His big head bothers me so much. I actually liked him more in his Silver Age version when he's very suave and pretty and.
Wait, time out. He doesn't have a big old head in the Silver Age?
Not for a while.
Wow.
In Justice League of America number 14, 1962, after Hal Jordan put him in prison and stuff, he escapes prison and exposes him to the same meteorite he was using to experiment on the scientists, which gives him a giant brain and psychic powers again. So two different they tried him as a villain in one way in a much more like Lex Luthor fashion. And then they were like, or we can just give him superpowers, like these crazy telepathic abilities.
Yeah.
And he's super powerful.
Why does the meteorite give him the powers though?
The Fantastic Four used it.
No, I was like, what?
I mean, really, we don't know. I guess it's kind of the same way that we don't really know why the Flash, like everything, different circumstances lead to certain results.
Yeah.
So it might be something in his genetics or something along with whatever happened. I mean, everybody else is wearing all these fancy suits. So maybe he had a Chipotle earlier in the day and the Chipotle gave him telepathic powers after it exploded. I mean,
There you go.
We'll never really know. But
it's interesting because he was this cocky, prideful jerk.
Yep.
And he gets exposed to this meteorite and he becomes this physically like prideful jerk. Yeah, big headed. You know what I'm saying? Like, so.
But his telepathic abilities, he's probably, I would almost, because he's kind of bedridden and like a wheelchair ridden because of his giant head.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's the strongest telepath in the DC universe.
Yeah, like when I was reading Rebirth, and he's got to help stop the Dark Stars.
Yep.
And Hal's like, "Hey, you've always wanted to be a hero. Let's go do it." And he just beast modes it. I'm like, "Holy cow, this dude is powerful."
Yeah, he. I mean, even in here, when he finds out that Hal Jordan, I mean, he obviously can figure it out. He's a telepath.
Yeah.
That Hal Jordan is Green Lantern, like that becomes his motivation. Like he wants to know how to get girls. Like it's super creepy. He's like,
yeah, it is.
Carol Ferris loves Hal Jordan because he's Green Lantern. How do I get Carol Ferris to love me? I'm such a weirdo. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, he is weird, man. Don't be such a weirdo. They might like you.
Yeah. Maybe you should telepath your head smaller. That was mean.
Yeah, it was misexplained. The Dark Star storyline was great.
It was. What else do we have?
Atrocitus and his oath.
Oh, yeah.
Dude.
So the 5 inversions, right?
He's drinking.
Atrocitus specifically is a master of blood magic.
Okay.
Which you will eventually see him use to create the Red Lantern Corps.
Oh my gosh.
His teeth are creepy.
But he uses blood magic. Like he literally cuts those people open, and uses that blood magic, and like he's like drinking the blood of that guy's heart.
Yeah.
And
spits it out.
The brain, like that skull, you can see William Hand written on that skull.
Yep.
And that's how he discovers the identity of the prophecy.
Talk about master of the dark arts, huh?
Yeah. So, you guys have any questions about Atrocitus or his origin?
Yeah, man. So, I mean, obviously, you sent me a specific book, and you told me that that's his first appearance. But when do we see that throughout the Jeff Johns run? Because I don't know where it fits.
Literally right after Secret Origins is this. Is when the Rage of the Red Lanterns start.
Cool. Okay, we have that.
So 25, Green Lantern 25. Oh, and if you guys didn't know, the first appearance of Hector Hammond is that Green Lantern number 5 from the Silver Age.
The art is so different now.
It's so, yeah, even his costume, which you could kind of see, his costume was very similar early in Secret Origins when he's got that, all black shoulders and stuff. And that'll all.
Who's that? Change. Gil Kane?
Yep.
Cool. His cheeks are red.
Yeah, his rosy cheeks.
Crazy how things change like that.
But Atrocitus' first appearance is Green Lantern 25. So here's it's a pretty thick book. It's a supersized finale of the Sinestro Corps War, which will be really fun. I mean, you can see the Anti-Monitor right here. Ooh, it's so good.
Yeah.
And then there's the
Crisis on Infinite Earths.
The 1 in 10 variant by Gary Frank, I believe.
Yep.
Both the first appearances of Larfleeze, Atrocitus. Pretty cool books to have, and still very, very cheap. I think those are some sleeper books.
I still don't know who Larfleeze is, so I can't wait to get into that, man.
Oh, he's awesome. His character is something else. But yeah, so that Green Lantern 25, the end of Sinestro Corps War, and then you have Secret Origins, which starts at 29, I believe, or 30. Mm-hmm. Green Lantern 30. I broke it.
Yep. Perry Comics is saying he likes White Lantern Batman.
Quite a few White Lanterns. Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing is a White Lantern. So yeah, this is issue 29. So there's between issue 25 and 29, it's its own little story, and then 29 through I believe 35 is Secret Origin number 7, or Secret Origin Part 7, and then you go right into the Rage of the Red Lanterns, which has its own one shot, and then this. That's why it's highlighting Atrocitus' story, because it's getting ready to go into that. Exactly. Okay. So Atrocitus is a being, obviously him in the 5 inversions, which we kind of talk about. So back in the day, do you want me to talk about that now, or should we wait for like the Manhunters and stuff a little later? Sector 666. Yeah, let's wait. Okay. Because it's getting real good in book 4 right now with Sinestro showing up in front of Hal as he's flying. Yes. Oh man, one of my favorite. So talking about the difference between Hal and Sinestro. Sinestro is much more of a thinker. Hal Jordan's a doer. And when Sinestro shows up and he blows up Hal Jordan's plane. Yeah. And then he literally says, "I am the greatest Green Lantern." He does, dude. But then he's like, you don't even know what your ring can do. And he takes the entire plane and rebuilds it. Yeah, man. With his willpower. That's like I don't know, textbook Hal Jordan or Sinestro just being the greatest of all time. Yeah. He shows up, man, and he's so confident and calculated. Yes. And 100% he believes. Not even believes. He knows he's the best Lantern. You know? Yep. He blew me away. And I was telling you this earlier, but I loved reading his part. So the things that he said, just he's a completely different character than I was expecting. A lot of people will compare him to people like Hitler, which is kind of like, it kind of sucks because I'm a huge Sinestro fan, not a big Hitler fan. Thank goodness. His intentions, he always had the best intentions, and he has like this personality where he knows, like, he wants to do good, even if it means he has to be bad. Yeah. For the greater good kind of thing. For the greater good, which, you know, isn't always the best mentality to have. Right. But you'll learn later, like, a lot of the stuff he does, even as far as creating the Sinestro Corps and the whole the entire purpose of the Sinestro Corps War is to make the Green Lanterns better. Like, it's everything he does is so calculated. Yeah. And it's amazing. It's like he knows what's best, so he's going to implement it regardless of what people feel. Yes. Cool. When's his first appearance? Is that what you have out there? This is it, man. This is my big holy grail. Dang, an 8.5? Green Lantern number 7. The first appearance and origin of Sinestro. Dude, that's awesome, man. I love this comic. So how you're just basking in it right there, bro. How true to this is Sinestro's first appearance? So you don't get a lot of him, like, in his origin and stuff. It definitely has him as, like, he was a Green Lantern, betrayed the Green Lantern Corps, kicked out of the Corps. But this definitely fleshes everything out. Like, you don't really, over time, Sinestro has always been a villain. And I feel like he has that pure villain role in the Silver Age. And then Jeff Johns was like, well, we can do more than that. We can flesh him out and give him this huge part, because he was really like the arch nemesis of Hal Jordan.
Yeah.
But then how can we make this more interesting? Like how, he was his mentor. He was his friend. And it's just like the dynamic, I think, with Jeff Johns' run becomes so much more extravagant, so much better than just Sinestro's here and he's going to do villain stuff. You know, like the very generic 60s villains that were just like, see, I'm going to make all these people invisible and then I'm going to beat you. You know, like it becomes much more sophisticated, I think.
Well, it makes you love him. Because as I'm reading this, like you get this idea, okay, Abensor trained Sinestro, you know, and Tamare, and then you're like, okay, wait, who's going to train Hal? And then in this moment, they literally just fall in line.
Yep.
You know. So, what do you think about the Justice? Are you reading Justice League right now with the wall being destroyed and
the Source Wall?
Yeah, Source Wall and all that jazz.
I read, I think, up to like issue 5. I figure for a lot of these newer books, I'm just going to wait until like the trades come out, or so I can read it in one full run.
Yeah.
But him getting control of the ultraviolet spectrum. Yeah, man. I'm telling you, any single color that Sinestro picks up, he mastered it. He is literally the greatest lantern, not specific, lantern of all time.
I don't know him well enough, but part of me is like, dude, you used to be a good guy. What are you doing? Like trying to, you know, like destroy the universe, bro. But then at the same time, I just don't know the character well enough to know if that's something he would do, you know?
Yeah. And that's one thing that kind of threw me off about that whole ultraviolet core, was because it seemed a lot more malicious than, I mean, he doesn't care who dies as long as it meets his ends type.
Yeah.
But the idea that he would go along with this whole, like, the entire universe has to be destroyed.
A little weird, right?
Yeah, it was like, I don't know about that. But he actually, so Brandon Swinsky says he's like a Thanos. And I'm like, you know, he's not like comic book Thanos. He is very much like movie Thanos.
Yeah, he believes in something and he's going to do whatever it takes to.
He's the only one with the willpower to do it.
Crazy, man. It's crazy. That's a good one, Brandon.
That's a great comparison, Brandon. So we finally see Sinestro pop in and literally school Hal Jordan.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that issue, book 4, ends with Hector Hammond.
Yeah.
Losing his mind on the flight line after he murdered all those people. And that's when he discovers that Hal Jordan is a Green Lantern.
Yep.
And then we go on to book 5. And then book 5 is pretty cool. Has one of my favorite, I think my favorite panel out of all of these is in book 5.
Which one is it, man?
I'll show you in a second. So in book 5, we see William Hand kind of have like a little backstory where he's trying to touch dead people because he's a super creep.
Dude, that's Tim was like weirded out, bro. He's like, what the heck is happening right now?
Why would he even want to?
Did we lose Matt?
Am I frozen?
Yeah, you're frozen.
I'm going to turn my camera off and then turn it back on.
Cool. Yeah. There you are.
Yeah, so he's definitely weirdo. And I do like if you look at Hand Mortuary, the symbol next to it.
Yeah.
That ends up becoming the Black Lantern symbol.
Okay. Oh man. You're giving me
like foreshadowing the Black Lantern stuff.
Okay.
Wait, so is he the Black Lantern?
Maybe.
Okay, so is this where? Okay, obviously Blackest Night. This is what Atrocitus is trying to set up, and he's saying it's inside this guy.
Yes. So
where Blackest Night all begins.
Atrocitus' blood magic kind of shows that William Hand is going to be the bringer of the Blackest Night.
Yeah. And Tim just said, I mean, look, he's all dressed in black.
And his hair's black.
And this is the first appearance of William Hand.
Oh, wow.
Green Lantern number 29.
I literally thought he was brand new here.
This is his first appearance as William Hand. His first appearance as, so he's like the Black Hand throughout this part. And his first appearance as a Black Lantern is Green Lantern 43.
Dang, man.
So good. You know that around that 40-ish time frame is when Rage of the Red Lanterns ends, and then the Prophecy, the Black Lantern, or the Blackest Night event happens, and all of DC gets completely blown away.
Oh, I'm so excited to read this. I am so Man from Beantown saying he cannot wait till we get to Blackest Night, man, and Sinestro Cold War.
Yep. And yeah, William Hand has this weird fascination with death. So it kind of makes sense that he is
the bringer of death.
The bringer of death. And then you go back into the fight with William Hand, or God dang it,
Hammond.
Hector Hammond.
Yeah.
And you kind of see some of his powers. But then you have this beautiful moment. And this is my favorite. Like, Sinestro shows up.
Yeah.
And he shuts down Hector Hammond in a blink.
3 seconds.
Puts his head in a bubble and says, he can't think. Like, I just knocked him out.
Yeah.
But this picture right here.
Yeah, man.
Is my favorite. With Sinestro and the sun behind him, like he's this superhero.
Like he is the BA.
Yeah. And then he just says, a rudimentary telepath like that actually disrupted your concentration. And he does this. Sinestro, even like when you read New 52, when he becomes a Green Lantern again, when he shows up and he just like completely schools Hal Jordan. He's like, you do everything wrong. Like, use your brain, Hal Jordan. What are you doing? And those are some of the best moments in all of it.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
And then we have Sinestro and Hal Jordan going off to find the remains of Abin Sur and getting that message.
Yeah.
And that message is definitely vital when they're investigating Abin Sur's death.
Yeah.
Where Abin Sur describes the history of the Manhunters and Sector 666 and the 5 inversions and the Blackest Night prophecy.
All I'm saying is there's no way that the destruction of Section 666 was a glitch. There's no possible way. That had to be done on purpose, man. Which has filled them with rage and hate for, what did you say? How old are these guys?
So yeah, the Manhunters destroying Sector 666 was, according to the story, 3.5 billion years prior to this.
Oh my gosh, man! And so the inversions are survivors, which means they're Atrocitus is 3.5 billion years old.
Yes,
that's nuts, man.
And for a majority of that, after the Guardians captured the 5 inversions, or Abin Sur actually captured the 5 inversions. So maybe they weren't crucified on Yzmalt for that long.
Yeah.
Because I believe Abin Sur was the one who captured all of them and put them there. So,
okay.
But for that period of time, that's how long that they were trying to find a way to destroy the Guardians, to take the revenge.
That's a long time to plan revenge and a long time to hate something, man.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, the Manhunters were the original interstellar police force that the Guardians created. But obviously, being artificial intelligence, being robots, that never ends well.
Yeah.
And they had that, programming glitch.
Yeah. I know I'm right, man.
The programming glitch. Which caused them to believe that everything in Sector 666 was evil, and they killed them all. It was just a pure eradication of life. And the Guardians ended up putting down the Manhunters. And then there was another, like a space force or police force that they created before the Green Lantern Corps, but for the most part, you can pretty much just say that it's the Manhunters and then followed by the Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah.
And then there are still Manhunters out and about.
Oh yeah, that's
They didn't destroy them all. There's still like a little society of them where they are still trying to carry out the original mission of protect life and stuff, but it's all kind of jacked up. So you'll see them throughout the story as well.
Okay. So this cosmic divining rod, is this the first time it's introduced, or is this something?
I think so. I don't recall ever seeing it before.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it takes away the ring power, right?
Mm-hmm. Which is funny because Atrocitus, when he becomes a Red Lantern, that is the power that they're like the plasma that they spew out, like Day of the Dead, or 28 days. Was it 28 days later?
28 days later, yeah.
It eats through constructs and it siphons power. Green Lantern. It doesn't really siphon it. They don't, like, the Red Lanterns don't get it.
Yeah.
It cuts through it like butter.
Dang, man.
But yeah, that cosmic divining rod ends up becoming, I think William Hansa ends up getting it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he takes it
at the end of that fight. But it was cool seeing, like, sometimes people say, like, well, without a Green Lantern ring, what are they? And the fact that Atrocitus, like Hal Jordan and Sinestro are able to go hand to hand with Atrocitus without their power rings. I mean, like, Sinestro knows what's up. That dude is absolutely fearless.
Yeah.
And he is not afraid to take on this 3 billion-year-old creature who is insane. Atrocitus is an animal.
Tim was saying, what were you saying?
How Hal Jordan just starts fighting and he doesn't even care what that is ring.
No. Like, that's the best part. Like, the mentality of, and that's one of the things that I think draws people, and myself most like included, to the Green Lanterns. Like, you know, think about your day-to-day life, your day-to-day situations. If you had the willpower to know, like, you know, sometimes you're like, do I want that cookie? Like I'm going to eat that cookie because I have very little willpower when it comes to food.
Yeah.
But just imagine in every single aspect of your life where you are able to have the willpower to do anything.
Yeah.
To be completely fearless.
To master yourself, man.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's, to me, that is the coolest thing amongst all the different possible heroes that are out there with every possible power set. Just the idea of even without the Green Lantern ring, to be that fearless and have that much willpower over your mind and body, it's the coolest.
You know what really stuck out to me was back in book 2, when Abinsur's dying and he's like telling Hal, this is a ring and this is this core we're a police force in the universe. He's like, will you accept it? And Hal's words are, absolutely. You know what I mean? Like, he has no idea what the heck is going on, but just in that moment of seeing this guy die and explaining how important this ring is, absolutely no hesitation. No idea what the heck is going on. And then right here, he's like, hey, I don't have a ring, but I'm going to punch and kick this monster, and I don't even care.
Yeah.
Those two things just blew me away and made me love Hal 100 times more than I did.
Yeah, his ability to just accept things as they happen and react is amazing. Like, think about if you got blasted off to another planet and you see Kilowog.
I would freak out.
You'd be pooping your pants. You're like, that giant thing is gonna eat me.
Yeah.
Like, but he's just like, I'm gonna boxing glove you in the face.
Yeah. So good, man. So good.
It's awesome.
The same thing with oh my gosh, I just forgot his name.
Sinestro?
No. This guy.
Atrocitus.
Yes, Atrocitus. Like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't even look at that thing. I just want to cry and
he's terrifying. And just wait, like, when he gets the Red Lantern ring, so scary. There's so much blood everywhere.
All blood.
So we're in book 5, right? So we have Atrocitus that fights William Hand, or finds William Hand finally, and then the fight with Hal and Sinestro where they lose their ring, and then the Cosmic Divining Rod. So we're slowly getting towards the end of Secret Origin. And then we have book 6 where Hal Jordan and Sinestro are still fighting the Atrocitus.
I loved Sinestro pulling his battery out of the pocket dimension, man. He's like, what? Nobody taught you this yet?
Like,
Whoop.
School?
Oh man, this guy's awesome.
Yeah, Sinestro is he's the best. So yeah,
the best part of the whole story is in this book, though, man.
And what's that?
That is Hal Jordan
breaking the yellow, man.
That's there. I love these like small little hints at like the future of the whole story. So you see Hal Jordan creates the construct of the fighter jet and throws it and blocks the giant yellow crane or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it affects it.
Yep.
And he sees it, and you see Atrocitus see it too.
Yep.
Atrocitus sees like you got that whole page, like that whole little panel of his eye, and he recognizes what just happened.
Yeah.
And Sinestro didn't, even though he just saved Sinestro's life.
Yep. And you see, even his construct is affected by it, because before, when he was fighting Kilowog and he throws that yellow disc, it just goes right through the hand, you know. But here, like, you literally see the nose
crumple
of it crumble, and so it's like, dang, dude, like this guy just stopped the yellow on his second day of being a Green Lantern. This dude's the man. And
then I think it's, and I do like the giant Sinestro makes that giant Kilowog.
Yeah, dude.
You gotta poos your pants, as Chris Mitchell says. And then I like, he doesn't believe, like, they should have just killed William Hand right there, but they didn't know.
Jeez, man. I don't know.
I love what he just says. It's like Sinestro, the greatest Green Lantern of them all.
He's crazy awesome, man.
But his face when Hal Jordan says, "I used the ring against yellow." I am not amused. Yeah, that was some good parts. And then at the end of issue 6, so we didn't talk about through this whole time, Hal Jordan definitely blames Carol Ferris's family for the death of his father.
Yeah, Carl.
And you see that throughout the whole thing. Like, they do not like each other.
Yeah.
And Carol Ferris, though, you kind of see hints at it that she's not really, she's struggling like emotionally through a lot of the stuff. And you're kind of like, well, maybe it's just because she's a twat. You know, she's not the nicest person.
Yeah.
But then at the end of book 6, you find out that her dad is dying, and a lot of it, like, I wouldn't say dying of guilt, but he has been sick for years because of the guilt that he's had over his friend Martin dying at his hands, pretty much.
Yeah. And that affected Hal in a way that he's been holding this anger and blaming him all this time. And even when Sinestro is talking to him, he's like, your anger is making your construct weak.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll never be able to have a powerful construct unless you figure this anger out.
Yep. And right after that is when you see Hal Jordan make that beautiful construct of his dad.
Oh man, yeah.
And it was very like almost like a Simba moment, you know, where Simba sees Mufasa in the clouds.
Yeah.
And Sinestro shows up and compliments, like, you finally discovered the true power of the ring.
Oh, that was beautiful, man.
And in that moment, you also, like, you've seen how they've interacted this whole time. And I feel like right here is where that mentorship really settles in. Like you see the beginning of this relationship. You know, they just went through this whole storyline.
Yep.
And right here, it's kind of Sinestro almost taking Hal under his wing.
Kind of like a father-son.
Yeah.
Like I mean, that's the beauty of them.
And this was, I think, the exact same way that Abin Sur and Sinestro were. I think Abin Sur, you'll learn later, there's a much deeper relationship between Abin Sur and Sinestro.
Okay.
They definitely had that mentorship, that friendship. And also, like, Sinestro had some relations with part of his family and stuff, which is pretty important to the backstory. So we'll get into that later. And then finally, book 7, the last book in Secret Origin.
Wait, who is that?
Is what? Ganthet, probably.
So yeah, they get blasted back off to Oa to get it, you know, punished pretty much. And you find out that there is a guardian who took a name, Ganthet, who becomes a very integral part of the story. If I don't know, did you read Emerald Twilight?
Yes, I did.
So you saw Ganthet in that, didn't you?
Yep.
He plays a very vital role in the Green Lantern tale. And he's probably one of the most trusted of all the Green Lanterns or the Guardians of the Universe.
Yeah. My question is, why did he go against his brothers? You know, that's something I want to find out, like why he sent Sinestro. There's probably a lot of backstory there, no?
So Ganthet is the first, like, Guardians of the Universe are supposed to be emotionless, right?
Yeah.
Even though their power is derived from will and all this other stuff. So Ganthet is the first to feel emotion and to kind of see something deeper going on in the background. And I don't know, I think he's just much more curious. Seems kind of weird to say.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's very different from all the other Guardians. And that's when Hal Jordan loses it.
Yeah, dude, so cool. I thought they were going to like vaporize him on the spot.
Yeah, Hal Jordan definitely. That's one more point for Hal Jordan's lack of respect for authority.
Yep.
He definitely goes off, and Sinestro has to reel him back in to remind him to keep his cool.
But he asked some great questions that needed to be asked.
Correct.
You know, and I mean, the question that came out of this for me is, you know, they're saying that all the Green Lanterns are supposed to stay within their own sector.
Yes.
Is that the way it was in previous Green Lantern stories and Silver Age and all that?
So it was intended originally that after the disaster of the Manhunters 3.5 billion years ago, when the Guardians decided that the new Space Force would consist of sentient beings that had free will and a moral compass. So the selection process was a little bit more intense. But the original intent was that a sole Green Lantern could serve each sector solely.
Okay.
Which is a whole new topic on its own, because think about our universe and think about that being cut into a pie that goes both vertically and pie. Or like
not pie face though.
No, not pie face. not expressionless and flat. The Guardians ended up changing the rule to 2. Okay. So 3,600 sectors. There were originally 3,600 Green Lanterns, and now there are twice that. So 7,200 plus, because they also have the honor guard and all that other stuff that you'll see.
Cool.
Chris said that the Guardians of the Universe believe will is pure and the other emotions are all corrupt. So yeah, it was originally a solo Green Lantern per sector, and then they changed that rule, so now it's up to 2.
So is that why we see like stories like Jessica Cruz and Baz? Like,
some of that's really weird. The whole Earth thing is kind of out of whack. So before Simon, Baz, and Jessica Cruz, you could count Hal Jordan and John Stewart as the two Sector 2814 Green Lanterns.
Okay.
And then Kyle Rayner and Guy Gardner were considered Honor Guard Green Lanterns, or I believe that's what they were. But they were like, so Hal Jordan, John Stewart, patrolling Sector 2814, and then the Honor Guard Green Lanterns protect Oa. So they were like, their duty station was on Oa rather than in that sector. So they didn't get home as often.
Are we going to find out about the White Lantern throughout this run? Does that come in this run?
The White Lantern ends or shows up at the end of Blackest Night.
Okay. Sweet. That's good, right?
So let's finish off this book 7, and then we can talk about the emotional spectrum and stuff if you want.
Yeah.
So at the end, I mean, you see that Hal Jordan, like you talked about earlier, this whole thing was a giant journal for his little brother.
Yeah. My question is, because we see Atrocitus and his brothers, they start telling Sinestro a prophecy.
Yep.
And I'm wondering if that prophecy is going to affect Sinestro the same way it affected Abin Sur.
Yeah. Sinestro is already, so the Abin Sur was really affected by fear.
Okay.
Whereas Sinestro, obviously, like being a master of his own body and of his own emotions, he doesn't fall prey to that.
Cool.
He always has his own agenda and his own mindset, and he doesn't let anyone else affect the way he thinks and believes. So even if he did feel fear, I mean, he's about to create the Sinestro Corps. So, I mean, he's like, I'm not afraid of fear. I'm not afraid of rage. I'm not afraid of anything.
Yep.
They're similar.
So I think that's the fear, and I think this is the Red Lantern. So Timmy's pointing out that in Atrocitus' eyes, you see the lantern signal, right?
Yep. When he says, "Then one day you will feel my rage."
Yep.
Yes.
Is that the Red Lantern?
That's the Red Lantern symbol in his eyes. Dang. And the way that the Red Lantern Corps comes about, you'll see when we get to it.
Yeah.
It's insane.
That's cool, man. That's so cool.
You don't. I'm not even gonna say it because it gives it away.
Do it. Go for it.
I'll be back in a sec.
But yeah, and then he gives the flight journal to his little brother, which I thought was awesome.
Whoop-de-bird. Doesn't the Green Lantern movie with Ryan Reynolds do a good job explaining Sinestro?
Sinestro is the best part of that dang movie.
Oh man,
I loved Mark Strong as Sinestro.
You know what? That was like a perfect casting for the way he looks. You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
What else? Look at that. D Comic Queen. She got that 4.0 earlier this week.
Yeah, man. I want to hear that story because I saw her somebody talking about it in a chat, and I was like, no way. Too good. It's too good.
Oh, I love you. So, trying to see what questions we didn't talk about. Fight circles, Tom. You guys asked why are humans looked down upon?
Yeah, man.
My only answer is because we suck.
And whatever, man. Hal Jordan's the best, and he's human.
Yeah. Well, for the longest time, other space like species and everyone in space kind of looked at us as creatures that couldn't control our emotions and were savages, and which is all kind of true.
Barely even human.
Barely even human. We talked about Hector Hammond. Talked about the ineffectual Yellow. We talked about Carol Ferris's dad. Okay, so when is the emotional spectrum introduced?
Yeah, man.
So does every lantern run off of emotion? And this is a great question, and it's obviously going to become very important. The emotional electromagnetic spectrum, you can imagine it as a giant energy field, which consists of different emotions felt by every sentient being, all the way to the source wall.
Okay.
So 7 total energies, which follow the. It's kind of fun. The 7 energies are based off of Roy G. Biv. So red being rage, orange being avarice or greed.
Yeah.
Yellow being fear, green willpower, blue hope, indigo compassion, and violet being love. And the Roy G. Biv, right, is that color pattern is what fits into white light. So the White Lantern, in essence, is able to control all 7 energies.
Dang.
And that is what the White Lantern consists of, is the ability to control the entire energy field.
Okay. Is Kyle Rayner the first White Lantern?
No.
Okay.
Is Swamp Things the White Lantern?
It's got to be hell then.
I think Sinestro is.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy crud, man. Okay, are we going to learn that in this run?
Yes. You'll definitely see the different White Lanterns. I think it's
different. What? There's different. Well, okay.
Sinestro becomes the White Lantern, and he's super cocky about it. He's like, "This was what I was meant to be."
Oh my god!
But he's not able to control it. Like that's the one time that he can't
controlling.
Can't maintain it.
Really?
And then Swamp Thing becomes it. I think there's a few. I mean, that's but really, yeah, they have I know they have the Funko Pops. It's been a while since I've read any of that, but people become the White Lantern. But Kyle Rayner, going into like the New 52 towards Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern Corps, is like the primary. He was intended to be the White Lantern.
Dude, that's cool, man. The artist.
And then on the opposite spectrum of that, because
John says, "Stop giving it all away, dude."
Hi, Melody.
I'm asking too many questions, man.
Oh, Melody said, "Matt, your son is so handsome," and I'm like, "What son?" Talking about you. Don't you look at Tim? That kid's like 15 years. How old are you, Tim?
13.
Almost 15 years old.
Yeah, 13, man, 13.
So back, the White Lantern controls all 7 energy fields. The Black Lantern, or Death, is really representative of the complete absence of all of those energies. All that life is just absent.
Dang.
That's kind of what.
It's gonna be good.
So then he does have weakness.
The Black Lanterns?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Light.
Just have to find out.
And the White Lanterns.
And you will eventually learn that each spectrum has its own entity.
Oh, really?
And you don't really. I won't go into it too much. There's some pretty cool panels and stuff where they talk about the different entities of each emotional spectrum, but they're almost like the gods of those emotions.
Dude, this is getting good, man. I'm excited to see this.
But Sinestro is the only Yellow Lantern, right?
For now, or soon.
He can't tell us. He can't tell us, man. All we know is that at the end of this book, there's a sneak peek of Sinestro kneeling down
and creating the ring.
The ring, and we're just like, oh my gosh.
And it's not even the Green Lantern. It's just like a plain ring.
It's cool, man.
Thanks for hanging out, D Comic Queen. I appreciate it.
Later, Nathalie.
John's Comics with Kids is asking, what would be your biggest complaints for this first volume?
It was so short, man.
I remember when I was doing the video, I'm like, oh man, maybe this is a lot because it felt super thick, but it goes by so fast.
Yeah.
What's up, Seawood? I don't know. I think biggest complaint.
I think there were like a couple things that they didn't explain as much as they could have.
Like what?
Like there were like certain parts of the story like that happened and it kind of just went by in like 2 pages, and it was like you just didn't hear about it for the rest of the story, like his mom dying or his dad. Like I feel like they could have gotten into that more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
I think his intention was to keep the story focused on Hal Jordan trying to like as his origin kind of progressed. I don't know. I think going into his mom dying of cancer would have been pretty, like, trying to keep it uplifting and
yeah,
on the brighter side.
He did throw 60 years of a character,
yeah, into one book.
So they kind of had to move a little fast.
That's true.
What'd you guys think of the art?
Oh, I love the art. It was so good.
Art's good, man.
It's funny. Go ahead. This art is probably some of my least favorite of the entire run.
See, what I was going to say is I started peeking just a little bit through some of the other books, and I saw some of the Ethan stuff, especially Sinestro. Ethan Sinestro is like
crazy.
Holy crap, man. Like, it's so stinking good. So, I mean, I've only flipped through it a little bit, and he keeps yelling at me, so I haven't seen much, but it wasn't bad. I thought it was beautiful.
So, Claire Albert did most of the interior work, and he's fantastic. But as you get into more of the Ivan Rice, Doug Mankey, Ethan Van Sciver, like, oh man, it's almost weird reading this because it doesn't look like any of the other Green Lantern stories from the run.
Yeah. Who started it? Who's doing Rebirth?
Sciver.
Okay, yeah. That's why I was looking through that. Oh man, this is so good. I'm so excited. So Seawood is saying that that's one of the best 6-issue run ever. Rebirth.
Absolutely.
So, and I kid you not, like, we're gonna give this a grade tonight, and I was blown away by this story, man. Like, John, I can't think of anything that I did not like in the story. To see the way that he masterfully took all of the old stories and then put his own spin on them. And he touched on so much, and then he threw Atrocitus in here. Like, everything was just blowing me away page after page after page, man. And everyone's saying, like, this is not even close to the best. So I'm just excited to keep going.
Yeah, Rebirth is going to be a lot of fun. It's super intense. It's literally a redemption story for Hal Jordan. Because and we're going to
being Parallax.
Yeah, we'll meet Parallax. We'll discuss whether we want to. If I think it should be an option. Like, you can read Emerald Twilight if you want. If you want the full backstory of Hal Jordan becoming or being taken over by Parallax and becoming a villain and losing it, which would lead right into Rebirth. But knowing that for over a decade, Hal Jordan was a villain, and he gets, Jeff Johns gave him this redemption story.
That sounds so great, man.
And like the Spectre is a big part of it. Like, just some cool stuff that
I fell in love with comic books collecting because of the death of Superman. I started trying to collect every book that went along with that. And I remember when Coast City is destroyed by Cyborg, Superman, and Mogul, man. Like
Mongol.
Yeah, Mongol. Bro. Like, so I just last week read those issues, and I think we should tell people to look back. I'm gonna definitely have Timmy look at Emerald Twilight, man, because that way when we start Rebirth, we know where Hal's been, what's been going on.
Yeah. And I think we should definitely push that as a if you want the full story, that's the best way to do it. Because if you just jump into Rebirth like I did back in 2005, like it took me a while to figure out like
everything.
What the hell's going on? I thought he was a hero. Like everybody hates him.
Yeah.
But yeah, and Seawood even recommends. I think thinks reading Emerald Twilight is an excellent idea, and that is an intense. Like you're talking about Death of Superman and Cyborg and Cyborg Superman and Mongol destroying Coast City, and how it just completely devastates. Jordan.
Yeah, we'll probably talk about this next week, but when he's like recreating with his ring all of Coast City and trying to maintain the entirety of, it's just like heartbreaking, man. But you know what, Seawood, I've been looking at 0 Hour. I started the first couple issues, so I'm gonna have to read Emerald Twilight with Tim, get into 0 Hour, and that way we can be caught up for Rebirth. Because I had no idea, like you're saying now, that he was a bad guy up to this point. I knew that happened back in the early 90s.
Early 90s.
But I didn't realize that he hadn't been around since until here.
Yep.
So that Rebirth story has got to be amazing, man.
Yeah. And then Jeff Johns just went on the greatest freaking comic run of all time. All right, what else do we have to talk about?
How about any questions from the...
I didn't realize how long we've been going on. We're almost at 2 hours.
Are we really?
There were so many live shows tonight, so I'm not too mad about how many people are watching. So if you've been sticking with us for 2 hours, thank you so much.
Yeah, guys, thank you.
Prime time on a Thursday night.
See what's saying. We got to look at everything Hal's gone through in the 90s so we can appreciate him more. Mm-hmm. So Tim and I will... Because we're going to read this in an hour. And then I'm going to have to wait 2 weeks to talk about it. So we're definitely going to go back and read some other stuff so we can be up to brush.
Thanks for choosing us, Comics Misexplained. Said there's 1 million live shows going on right now. 1 million because you ramble and spoil everything. I'm sorry. So I guess we can go ahead and start wrapping this up. If you guys want to give your final thoughts and grades on the book, we could do a 1 through 5. And I think I actually have a great idea on a grading system, but we can implement that on the next show.
Okay, we'll do it. So 5 being the best, 1 being the worst?
Yes. 1 being Captain Marvel from recent times. Oh. 5 being the greatest comic you've ever read.
I'd have to give it a 4.
Dang, man, that's low, bro.
I can't give it a 5.
I've got to say, this is up there for one of the greatest books. Personally, I went through an emotional spectrum of my own reading this book, man. And I was pleasantly shocked at how much I fell in love with this story. I wasn't expecting it at all. So I'm gonna go 4.8.
Wait, we could have points.
I just threw that in there. Yeah, because and I'm freaking out because everything's supposed to be better after this.
And that's the only reason in my mind that I would give this anything less than a 5 is because I know how good this gets.
Yeah, man. See,
so in comparison to everything else,
yeah,
this would be like a 4.
Cool
to me.
Cool.
But I do love that how Jeff Johns revised the different origins and changed things to match his plan for this 10-year future.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I was literally blown away, man. And man, I was thinking, like, how many books have I read that have given me that much emotion? And there's not many. So I'm excited to see where we go from here, man.
there are some seriously emotional parts in this story.
Good. I love emotion, man.
I mean,
I'm not scared of my emotions.
What's great is, like, I mean, you think they're space cops, right? So they see some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
As any cop, as any military guy who's seen action, you know, like,
yeah,
the PTSD is real in some of these guys, and the way that they cope. There's some seriously intense scenes where they kind of talk about how each Green Lantern has their own way of coping with all the things that they've done and all the stuff that they've seen, and it's so cool.
As long as they don't go to Sanctuary, I'm good, man.
Nope.
Dude, that's exciting, man. Seawood says, wait for issue 25. So Atrocitus and Larfleeze, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I can't wait. I think next time, man, we got to get the chat involved a little bit more, and that way they can ask a bunch of questions too, because there's a bunch of guys like Discovery Bay and Perry that hadn't read this before.
Yeah.
And I want to hear them too, man, you know? And I don't think they're around anymore, but we got to get them in here.
Yeah, well, maybe for each book, each comic, we can have, like, talk about, like, the synopsis of it and then ask questions, or like have them ask questions per issue.
Yeah, man. And I love the way you did it today, how we broke it down per issue, because now next time we'll be prepared per issue to talk, and then everybody that's following along with us can come up with their questions, say what they love, and that way we can get the chat involved and everybody. So we really feel like we've got this huge book club other than just the three of us, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a great idea. So speaking of our next episode, it'll be on your channel.
Yep.
On March 15th.
That's right.
And I'm assuming we'll probably stick to about the same time, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time.
Yeah, we'll do same time. That's a Friday.
Oh.
Did we decide that, was it the 14th or the 15th that we wanted to do?
Maybe it was the 14th.
Yeah, I think it's March 14th.
Oh, it's Tim Michelle's birthday.
Yeah.
Yes. Then you were right. March 14th.
Yeah, so let's do March 14th at 7 Mountain Standard Time again.
Okay.
And then we'll do it my channel. And
I think we should do it a little earlier because it took a pretty long time. I mean, if that's okay with you guys.
The problem is, if we do it any earlier, we run into people on the Pacific Coast, like, barely getting home from work and stuff, you know?
Oh, I get you.
I like this time.
We have time. We have time to think about it.
Yeah. Good point.
But for now, I think, so March 14th, around the same-ish time, and we will be going over Green Lantern Rebirth.
Yeah.
I love that cover so much.
Dude, those omnibuses are awesome, dude.
This is
oh, it's not.
The Omni's underneath it.
There it is. Oh my gosh, man.
Did I show you guys this one?
No.
No, you haven't.
I got this recently. I got some Jeff Johns original art.
Really?
It's not what you.
Oh, I know what this is. Yeah, you showed me, bro. I want to see it again. Yeah.
Oh, I've seen that one.
Yeah. I love that. That is the worst Green Lantern symbol ever.
Yeah, love it.
So, and if you want, I think I'm going to refresh myself as well and read Green Lantern Emerald Twilight, which I believe would be what issues number, I think 46 through 51, 48 through 51.
Something like that. If you get, I think 46 is the
destruction of Kos.
Yeah. And then 48
is the first appearance of Kyle Rayner.
Yep.
And that definitely just gives you. So technically, Emerald Twilight is just 48 through 50.
Yeah,
but I think if you go back a little earlier to issue 46 through 50, you'll get a better understanding.
Yeah, let's do it.
But
Tim and I will definitely do that, man.
And that'll give you a little bit extra to read, so you can read that and Rebirth, and then in 2 weeks' time, we will reconvene and do this all over again.
Heck yeah, man. We're down. We're ready. I'm seriously probably going to go upstairs right now, lie in my bed, and start reading.
I'm going to go eat.
That's right. We haven't had dinner yet.
But thank you guys so much. I put the links. If you guys are not familiar with The Boy Who Had Seven, you are wrong. The link to his YouTube channel is in the description below, so go sub him up. He is almost at 800. Dude, you're so close.
I know, man. I know.
I
passed after my competition. I got up to 812. And then everybody just like, oh, peace out.
What a bunch of turds.
Yeah, I know, dude. It went all the way down to 792. So,
well, you'll be back up at 800 in no time.
That's right. Thanks, bud.
And I also have the link to your Instagram on
Sweet.
There.
Thank you, man.
Do you have anything coming up that you want to advertise or discuss?
Yeah, so I've got a couple things real quick. You were talking earlier about people getting together and doing other book clubs on characters that they love. So Comic Geek McD and I have a love for everything Red Hood. And so we are going to start doing a little Red Hood show. We're not sure on all the details yet, but it's probably going to take place next Friday. And so I'm excited about that, but we'll see. We'll see. He got broke his tooth, kind of threw things off. So we're going to work on that a little bit more, but I love Red Hood, man. Jason Todd's my favorite Robin. So Tim Drake. That's because your name's Tim, man. Yeah. So, and then next week on Tuesday evening at 7, Sasquatch and I are going to start a new show called Comic Book Noob Tube. And we're going to start talking about experiences we had as rookies that we want to put out there and share with the comic book community so they don't make the same mistakes that we did. So I've got a huge story where my LCS completely took advantage of me and stole tons of money from me, lied to me about grades, and had me going for about a year and a half.
Wow.
And so, yeah, man, he took me for everything I was worth. So I'm going to put him on blast. And we're going to share stories like that. And what we want to do is, both of us have some stories we're going to share the first couple of shows, but then we want everybody in the community to come on and share stories. And that way, we're going to talk about things like not getting taken advantage of, how to figure out grading, what kind of spending limits we should have. And I see a lot of people doing a lot of the mistakes that I made when I first got into it, man. And I kind of want to scream out to them and be like, stop. Don't do it. Don't do it.
As you're choking them.
Yeah, exactly.
I love the name of that show, Comic Book Noob Tube.
Fun, right?
That's awesome. That's a great.
Yeah. I was talking about it and telling people what I wanted to do, and Sasquatch was on one of my live shows. He's like, Noob Tube, and I'm like, all right, you're on it with me now, bro. Came up with the name, but yeah, so that'll happen this coming Tuesday.
Pop said, "Don't forget about us."
That's right. That's right. So. Mike at Popcom and I, he's a huge Funko Pop collector. And we're going to do a little show together. Actually, when I get off of here, I got to call him. Thanks for reminding me, Mike. And we're going to kind of compare, there you go, Pops and comic books and how both of these worlds kind of come together. And, in comics, we have slabs, and he's going to tell us what they do over in the Pop world. And so we're going to talk about that tonight, and we're going to come up with a show, and we're going to talk all about Pops and comics.
That'll be fun.
So yeah, man. So I got those three things coming up here soon, and just excited to try out this whole live thing, man. I had a blast tonight, especially having Timmy here with us, man. It was fun, brother.
Yeah, thank you guys for hanging out. I know it goes by super quick. Like you're just talking and stuff.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, it's 2 hours later.
I know, man. So the wife's like, "You're still on?"
Well, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, and I will let you go get some food, and we will See you guys in 2 weeks.
Sweet, man. Well, we're excited. There's the girl who had 7.
Hi.
Girl at 7.
Matt, the wife, Matt.
Nice to put a face to the other Matt.
Yep, the less attractive Matt.
You know that that night that you had your 3-hour video that is infamous now.
Oh no, yes, I know.
So that. I was sitting there and she's sitting there listening to the whole thing with me, man. So she sees she got the face to the voice now.
Yeah.
He knows. Oh, I hope I don't have any intense videos like that again.
That was fun, man. It was fun.
That was a quick 3 hours. Everybody that was in the chats, I know this went on for a while, so thank you guys all so much for hanging out. Thank you, Matt and Tim, for joining me. I can't wait to be on your channel March 14th for the second iteration of this series that we've got going on. So
there you go.
Truly appreciate you guys joining the Green Lantern Comic Book Club, and we'll see you guys in a few weeks.
Talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Mischief managed.